Welcome back, everybody. Take a break for Stephen Shamus.
Good to see you, my friend. How's it going today?
Wonderful, excellent, great day. Every
Great to see
day
you.
above the ground is a good day.
We got a fun, wacky show today. What are we talking about?
Another oddball, completely just oddball
Right.
show. Yes.
Right. So what are we talking about?
Speaking of oddball, we're going to talk about just a couple of random variants that have come across, both of us, as we talk about stuff getting heat and what is this from? Why is this so expensive? So we're gonna talk about some wacky variants. We're going to talk about Shadecraft now that there's some CGCs in the mix. We're going to talk about another Jim Starlin beautiful fantasy masterpiece, Dreadstar. We're going to talk about another fantasy masterpiece in Forgotten Realms. And we're going to talk about Gargoyle, not the gargoyles, but Gargoyle.
Yeah, I hear you. And, it's funny, like we talk about Dreadstar and there's a lot of fantasy stuff going on, right? It feels like there's a fantasy movement going on here.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got first, Alex?
Yeah, let's talk about some random variants, some oddball stuff.
Right. So what we're seeing now, and we talk about this from time to time, is there's been this really heavy push for some of these tough to find variants, 1 in 25, 1 in 100, 1 in 500, 1 in 1,000, and prices are skyrocketing, but not on all of them. It's like very particular about which ones people want. And there's some that really just went absolutely bonkers. So let's get started with these. Star Wars Rogue One adaptation #1. It's a Walmart variant. Came out in June of 2017. There's only a 31 total pop. There's 8 9/8 and 8 9.6s.
Wow.
And one just sold for $1,100.
Oh, good gravy.
Any clue what's going on with that one, or is it just
rare? I mean, you're talking Walmart. We live in New York City. We live in a major metropolitan area. Stephen, where's the closest Walmart to you?
Just Target. We only have Target here.
Exactly. Like these aren't exactly easy to find books. Like we're in New York City, and I have never seen a Walmart comic book like come through me without being at a store. Like Walmarts are in rural areas. People are buying these. They're either buying them to give to their kids, they're buying them because they're reading it, or they're not buying them at all and they're getting pulped. These are going to be very hard to find. Anything that's a store exclusive for something like a Walmart, where you have just collectors, store owners, and then the general public just buying them. It's rough.
Right. So the next two are fascinating.
Yes.
One is Gen, lowercase GEN, Lock #6. Came out in June of 2020. 7 9.8s, 5 9.6s, 14 total pop. That one just sold for $200. Recalled and pulped by DC. It was released at Walmart somehow. What happened with that book? What is that book?
So Genlock was a collaboration between DC Comics and Rooster Teeth, who is an online website and animation studio. This was a COVID comic. This was a comic that was coming out right before the lockdowns happened. After the lockdowns happened, the last 2 issues, they said we're just going to release digitally. Same thing, they did that with, I believe, the Terrifics as well, where it was only released digitally. They did not put out print comics.
So somehow it escaped the factory is what
exactly. So when you're shipping to stores, stores usually get books that are coming out that Wednesday about 2 to 4 days before release. The UK, if you're trying to get books on release date, the same day release date is here, which they do. Marvel Comics, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 628 comes out here, comes out in the UK and Europe the same day. They have to get the books out there quicker. And by the time they were sent out and Marvel Diamond UK had them, they were just sent them to the stores. They just were like, we've got them, let's send them out. That people have already ordered them before they could recall them because they were already in the hands of stores by that time. So just like the 80-page Giant Elseworlds special, that same thing. UK got a bunch of copies before the US could recall all theirs.
Right. Okay. And the next one is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Star Wars Galaxy Edge #1. They call it the Imagineering variant.
Yep.
The concept art edition is how CGC labels it. It was given to Imagineers during Galaxy's Edge construction / opening. Who knows how many they even printed. 16 total pop. Came out in June of 2019. 6 9.8s, 4 9.6s, and 1 9.4. And a 9.8 just sold for $4,300. So this is not a book that you're just going to find at a comic show in a box. No. Have you seen this book? I mean,
I've never seen these. These are probably highly populated in Florida and California, and that's
right.
I mean, these are books that we're giving to the Imagineers. This is like, you know, when you say like the Imagineers and Disney, think of like the crew to a film. You know, every film, you know, Suicide Squad, Superman, Spider-Man, any film has crew stuff, jackets, hats, items that are giving as gifts to the crew. These were giving as gifts to the Imagineers. The Imagineers are the people who create park attractions. They're the ones that design it and build it and do all that stuff.
Crazy.
There could be a lot of these, and just the Imagineers, the people that got them kept them. They could have been trashed, you know.
They probably got tossed in the garbage can.
100%.
Like,
a lot of people just don't. They're like, oh, this is neat, whatever. I don't need a comic book.
They think it's a pamphlet. They don't even know that it's a comic.
Exactly.
Got it. Crazy. Okay, what do we got next, Alex?
Shadecraft, something we've talked about in the past, but it's really starting to sneak up now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So what is the story of Shadecraft? Lee Garbett with Joe Henderson.
Yeah. Well, first things I want to say about Shadecraft is Shadecraft was picked up by Netflix before the first issue even hit the stands.
How's that possible?
How's that possible? Is because Joe Henderson is the showrunner of Netflix's Lucifer. So he had the ears of the company, and I'm assuming he just pitched it, showed him the first issue, and they picked it up. So hitting the stands, this one was already a property that was getting picked up. I remember when it came out, people were looking for it, they were picking it up, they were buying him. It's a kind of a YA book. It's about a teenager who notices that her shadow and the shadows in the town aren't acting just like shadows. They're being creepy. They're trying to kill her, and nobody knows why. And it's kind of is like a, you know, family. Oh, you know, we have the secret history. We know how to control shadows, etc. But I think that the key here is really, you know, the book is good. The book's by, you know, two people that have been, you know, in the industry forever. Skyward was as their nominated series by both of them. So, you know, they're old hands at this, and you know, it's a Netflix show. It was picked up. It's going to be something
crazy. Okay, so Shadecraft #1, Lee Garbett, cover A, March of 2021. There are 295 9.8s, so there's a decent amount. Yep. But it's selling for $250 now.
Right.
Jock did cover B. Love Jock.
Yep.
81 9.8, $100. The blank cover, there are 4 9.8s. That's about $100. Then here are the tough ones. The Fran Franny is an artist name, by the way.
Correct.
Fran Franny Sanctum Sanctorum Comics Edition. Do you know where Sanctum Sanctorum is?
I know it's a store. They're also mostly an online dealer. But they've been around for a little while.
Got it. So there are 18 9.8s. Those are $30 raw, and you can buy those direct. Then there's the Virgin Edition. Those are 20 9.8s, and those are $40 direct if you still want to buy them, but $60 if you buy the pair, so you save $10. And then here's the very, very expensive one is the Zoo Orzo. I love Zoo's work.
Zoo's amazing. Yeah.
Things from Another World edition. 31. Yep. 31 9.8s. That's about a $225 to $250 book, limited to only 500 copies. And then the second print came out in April of 2021, 4 9.8s. That's about a $100 book, $3 to $5 raw. And then the third print, June of 2021, 8 9.8s, $5 to $8 raw. But you know, you got to pick those up now, Alex, because that's going to go crazy.
Yeah, they're already. It's already crazy coming out of the gate now. If you have anything now, you can get them now.
Okay, and I know I forgot you last week, but I'm not going to forget you this week. Alex's pick of the week. What do we got, Alex?
I love talking Star Wars, so I'm gonna keep the Star Wars going. Star Wars Black Series, the action figures, is a line that it's been coming out for a while now, a few years. You know, They've changed some box designs. They're doing new stuff really quickly. It's very hard to find them not on the secondary market. You want to go to your Target and your Walmarts to pick them up off the shelf. It is not easy. These are definitely toys that are, $19.99, $24.99 in the store, but nobody can find them off the peg. A lot of stores have popped up recently, a lot of online stores that do pre-orders. And I think this is your only way in the future to get toys like this, is to pre-order them from website stores. Like, I don't want to take, the fun of going to a Target or, a Walmart and finding toys on the shelf and grabbing them and finding the best paint job. That's great. These aren't going to be easy to find. I mean, the secondary market on these, as soon as things come out, if you don't have it pre-ordered, you're paying double the price. You're paying $40 to $50 for each toy. And, in this world of pre-orders, that's it. I think the future of even regular just toy collecting, Marvel Legends, same thing. Like, the X-Men line that came out, you barely saw any in the stores, barely. It's all in pre-orders. It's going
Right.
to Big Bad Toy Store, Toy Wiz, and pre-ordering the figures.
Entertainment Earth.
Yeah. We're not in a world of where you can find these things in stores anymore.
Right. All right. What do we got next, Alex?
Let's talk about Jim Starlin's, my favorite Jim Starlin creation, Dreadstar.
And this is starting to pick up again too. What's the story with Dreadstar? It's from 1980. All of a sudden.
Yeah, we've talked about it. It's fantasy, and we know
Fantasy.
Jim Starlin. He likes space fantasies. He is the space man. He was the go-to space guy for many years at Marvel. Dreadstar is his baby. It's his independent book, and this is one of the first things that the Marvel Epic line, which was their independent line, put out. This is the first comic that they actually made. And, it ran for 64 issues with a couple different publishers. And,
Right.
It's been talked about for years about getting picked up for movies and entertainment rights. And, Jim's been putting stuff out here and there. I think it just did a Kickstarter for a new volume. But, this is one of those things where it's highly sought after.
Right. So these books have been going crazy again. Epic Illustrated #3, fall of 1980, 68 Blue Label, and 23 Gold Label 9.8s. Not low, not high. 87 Blue Label, 33 Gold Label 9.6s. It's about a $600 book in 9.8, $25 to $35 raw. First appearance of Van Dreadstar, Elric of Melnibone, Goodwin, Thomas, and Mensch stories, as you said.
Yep.
So that was the first one. Yep. And then there's Marvel graphic novel #3, which features Dreadstar.
Yep.
Right. That's from 1982. 22 Blue Label 9.8s, and then 11 9.6s. That's about a $325 book. And that's a Jim Starlin story, cover, and art.
Yeah.
And then Dreadstar #1 from November of 1982. There's 1 9.9.
Wow.
147 9.8s and 88 9.6s. That's about a $250 book. Very reasonable. First comic book published by Epic Comics. It's got a Jim Starlin story, cover, and art. So it's very, very reasonable to pick up these books.
Yeah. I mean, the Epic Illustrated, that 68 9 points, I don't think you're going to find a lot more of those. Those are magazine comics.
40 years already.
That's it.
40 years.
Maybe another handful float out there, but you're not finding 98s of magazines anymore.
Yeah, 40 years ago. So that's it. All right. What do we got next, Alex? More fantasy, right?
More fantasy. Yeah. We're going to talk about R.A. Salvador's Forgotten Realms.
Okay. So again, as we're seeing fantasy stuff, when you see the price on this, you're going to fall over.
Yeah.
What's a story with R.A. Salvatore and Forgotten Realms?
So R.A. Salvatore writes a novel series, a fantasy novel series called Forgotten Realms. Hugely popular. New York Times bestseller, the whole shebang. Everything you want to tick off. I think it's one of the only things not made into a fantasy piece yet. I mean, Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time is now coming out. So this is it's next in line, I'm sure. With a lot of stuff like novel series or even TV shows, and we talked about it a few weeks ago with Fringe, and we talked about it with Supernatural, when you have a series of something that people love, and then all of a sudden there's an extra thing on the side, no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to fulfill everybody that wants it. You know, there's the people that bought it when it came out. There's the people that now have caught up in the series or had just started reading it and now they want to read something else. Oh, there's a comic book. Let me read the comic book. Well, good luck, because the first comic that came out is by an independent studio who, maybe made 20,000 copies, maybe 30,000. Like, Devil's Due, who you can talk about a little bit. They weren't printing huge numbers. They were not printing huge numbers at all. No. Maybe the G.I. Joe numbers were big, not this.
No. So, okay. So we've got Forgotten Realms Dark Elf Homeland #1, June of 2005, 16 years ago already.
Wow.
There are 5 9.8s
wow.
and 3 9.6s, and just sold for $1,100.
Oh my goodness gracious.
$1,100. So yes, it was Ari Salvatore story, Tim Seeley cover and art.
Really?
And they consider it that the most popular character in fantasy fiction, makes his comic book debut. Drizzt, did I pronounce that right?
Drizzt. Yeah, sure. It's fantasy. We can make it whatever we think it is.
Right.
Until there's a movie, and then we'll know.
I got you. All right. And what are we closing up with tonight, Alex?
Gargoyle, Isaac Christians, our main man.
Got it. So this book is shot up pretty good. 1981,
yeah.
another 40-year-old book. Why is Gargoyle so hard? Is this nostalgia, fantasy? What's going on?
I think we're seeing a good speculation here with this book. I mean, it's definitely a character that is not very popular. It's not a character that's seen in modern comic books that much, but I mean, he has his place in the kind of the fantasy world. He may fight Black Knight. With the Eternal stuff opens up the door for a lot of stuff. And I think you're seeing a lot of people like kind of jumping on the gun here with this first appearance. I mean, it's a character who almost kind of like the Demon in DC, the Jack Kirby creator. He's a man who is, cursed with this body of a gargoyle and becomes a defender, and James DeMatteis is one of his favorite characters. So
I never knew how to pronounce his name. It's James DeMatteis.
DeMatteis, yeah.
Oh my God, I've been screwing that up forever.
DeMatteis is a big one. People say DeMatteis all the time.
J.M. DeMatteis. That's a good job by you. It's got a Michael Golden cover, by the way. All right, Defenders number 94, April of 81, 17 9.8s, 3 9.6s, and it just sold for $1,000, Alex.
That's bananas. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's what crazy. The whole market is crazy. The whole market is crazy. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. If you have any questions or comments, put it in the comment field down below. Thank you again for listening and tuning in. We will see everybody next week, same bad time,
same bad channel. Thanks, guys.